With recent news, especially here in Virginia, you've probably heard over and over that elections have consequences, and they most certainly do. Many times I've heard my brothers and sisters in Christ say things like, it doesn't matter who's in office, Jesus is still king. And although that fact still stands that Jesus is king, Jesus was still king when Stalin and Adolf Hitler came to power and authority in Europe. Just because Jesus is king, this does not negate your responsibility of voting responsibly. Voting responsibly can keep people like Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin from coming into power. We need to vote for Jesus-loving people of integrity and of upstanding character. Right now in Virginia, there are bills that not only infringe on our rights, but also lack a sense of morality. In particular, HB 980, which eliminates all the procedures and processes, including the performance of an ultrasound, required to effect a pregnant person's informed consent to the performance of an abortion. What this means is that women seeking an abortion can get an abortion without first having a sonogram and waiting the required 24 hours after such sonogram to continue with the abortion. With buying a car, buying a house, or any other large purchase, financial advisors will tell you you need to wait at least 24 to 48 hours before making a large purchase, because you need time to think and to consider your options. But our legislators here in Virginia believe that women deserve the right to make hasty decisions regarding the life of their unborn child. How is that best for women? How is that best for anyone? The answer is simple. It is not best for anyone, and it is not in the best interest of anyone, except the cowards hiding behind their titles and doing what they will to push their wicked agenda. If not for God's grace and the 24-hour law, my third child, Ezekiel, would not be here. Throughout each of my pregnancies, I have been diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum, a rare pregnancy illness that nearly took my life. During one of my many hospital stays, I was admitted for an entire week with unrelenting vomiting of stomach acid. I had went 2 weeks without any food or any water. My body was failing, and so was my pregnancy. The last ultrasound at the hospital could not even pick up his heartbeat, and I was showing signs of a miscarriage. I could not think straight. I was crying out to God day and night. I wanted to die. I remember telling my mom I couldn't do this, and I asked her to forgive me, but I told her I was leaving the hospital and I was going to get an abortion. I would have left right then and there, but my insurance, it stated that if I left without being discharged from the doctors, that they would refuse to pay the bill. So I had to wait for the doctors to actually discharge me in order to leave the hospital. So on the last day that I was in the hospital, my mother came, and although she didn't agree with my decision, she saw that, my body was failing. She thought I was going to die. My entire family thought I was going to die throughout this entire pregnancy. But God kept me alive and kept my child alive. On the last day, my mom hid my breakfast that they brought in for me in the trash can, and she helped me dump out the water that they had been giving me, so it would look like I was able to eat and drink at that time, which the doctors and nurses all thought, with especially her standing there and, just nodding a little bit, that I was able to eat, so they went ahead and they discharged me. My husband went to drive me to the abortion clinic, And on the way there, we had the worst fight of our marriage. I was crying. He was crying. It was intense. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. We get to the abortion clinic, and I'm praying the entire time. I was praying on the way there. I'm saved. There was no doubt about that, but I was getting ready to make this decision because it was life or death for me. That's what it was. It was not being able to take care of my children. It was my body is failing me. What am I going to do? So we get to the clinic, and as I'm praying the entire time there, they're telling me that the hospital needs time to send in the sonogram. So I was waiting there, and I waited for at least an hour, and I'm getting sick. I'm throwing up right there in front of everybody. And then they're saying that they're just going to go ahead and do the sonogram there in the clinic, and that I'll have to come back tomorrow in order to get the abortion because I have to wait at least 24 hours. I go back in the clinic room to get my sonogram, and like I said, at the hospital, there was no heartbeat. So it was, God, why must I prolong this suffering? If I'm going to miscarry, I might as well just do this and get it over with. I don't see any reason to prolong this sickness. So the lady places it on my stomach, and immediately, my son's heartbeat pops up as 165. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, Jesus, help me. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I can't do this. So I went back out, and I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of emotional. I went back out to the waiting room, and I'm sitting there, and I'm praying in the Spirit, and I am praying like I never prayed before because I don't know what to do. I don't want to hurt God. I don't want to commit this sin. I don't want to do this. But I'm feeling like there's no other option for me. I could die. My family, I am dying. There's nothing about it. My entire body is failing at this point. And I clearly heard God say to me regarding my other two children, I would be willing to give my life for them. There is no question about giving my life for my children that are already here on this earth. There's no question. I would give it up in a heartbeat for them. And then I realized in that moment, what kind of mother would I be if I was willing to give up this child to save my own life? If I would do that, if I would give up my life for my other two children, why not would I give up my life for this child that was forming inside of me? Was he of any less value than the children that were already here? I knew in my spirit, I knew in my mind that if it was God's will for me to die, and let me tell you, throughout all 41 weeks and 5 days of my pregnancy, I was sick every single day, every single week. My entire family thought that I was going to die. I did not get better. It was absolute hell. But you know what? My son came and the sickness left. So I knew in that room, I knew when God spoke those words to me that I needed to go forward. And if it was his will to preserve my life and to preserve that of my child, then so be it. And if it was his will for me to die, then so be it. But I could not trust God to do what he would if I was not willing to give up everything for this child. So I'm asking you to call your legislators. I'm asking you to tell them that this bill, HB 980, does not help women. It does not help anyone. It does not. Without God's grace and without that 24-hour waiting period, I would have made the worst decision of my life. And had I made that choice, I know without a doubt I would not be here today, because mentally I could not have made that choice. I would not have been able to stand the turmoil of making that choice. There are women. They are faced with this same choice. Today, every hour, they are faced with being able to take care of their children. They are being faced with being able to take care of themselves with this terrible sickness. They are being faced with all kinds of different things that lead them to think that abortion is the only answer to their problems. So I'm also asking you to pray for them. Pray for them. You might not understand what they are going through, but they are going through turmoil. Whether you see it or whether you don't, they are going through turmoil. I remember almost every single face that was in that clinic with me. I remember the little blonde-haired girl. She's crying over there in the corner. She has no one with her. I remember the African-American couple that came in and they are fighting. They are using profanity. They are loud. And I'm just sitting there and I am praying and I'm asking God to help every single one of them and to help me. This is not a choice that's taken lightly. And without the 24-hour period of waiting, how could anyone be able to make a sound choice in this matter? I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe anyone should go forward with abortion. But I can tell you that they need this 24-hour law. They need it. This law saves children's lives. Thank you for your time, and I hope with all sincerity that you will pray for these women, that you will pray for these legislators making these wicked decisions on behalf of people that they should not be making them for.